So Theta, what else we gotta do?
We have, we have, as we did, trying to enunciate to make the voice come out. We have, as we did before, but now season-wide character tier list. And I sent you a file of what the images were,
Yep, I got him right here.
and I believe they should still be in the same order, alphabetical, on the
Mm-hmm.
tier list as they are in the file I sent you.
Yep. So, I guess let's go ahead and start grading characters.
I think we should also agree to the rules that we did before, that if you rank them high, and I rank them low, or vice versa, we put them on the list based on the difference of their ranking.
Right, we average it out a little bit.
Alright, well, who's first on the list? If just to verify that we're both looking at the same person.
We're both looking at Akihiro.
Right. So, okay, I think maybe we should preface tier to importance of the show or opinions of character.
Let's go ahead and keep it to the characters themselves.
No.
Obviously, we would just be sorting by main character at that point if it was just to the show.
Right, but I mean, you mean opinion of the character then?
Yeah.
Right. Alright, well, where do you... Let's, also for the sake of not biasing one another, let's go back and forth. So, you start, and I'll give mine second, and the next one I'll start, and you give them second. Sound good?
Wait, you mean just opinions? Okay.
No, ranking. Like, you give me what
Okay.
rank you would put Akihiro, I'll give you mine second. The next guy, I'll give mine first, you give yours second. Back and forth.
Okay.
We'll flip-flop.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, where do you put an Akihiro?
Let's see. Akihiro, I want to put it S tier. I think he's a fantastic character. He's got a good arc. He sticks to stuff. He's a part of like one of our favorite episodes, like as a primary character, the death of Lofner. Um, he's definitely very much the Lancer character archetype here. Um, but you see, I think though he fits in that role where he's basically just second fiddle to Mikazuki, he still has his own thing going on. He isn't dependent on the other characters in order to be good.
To clarify, since you put out a negative there at the end, you said S, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. I was going to say A, but I think you sold me with the whole he has his own thing going on. Because, very specifically, when Lofner got shot,
Mhm.
I was saying that her relationship to him was elevating him to me. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Also in the comments, someone specifically said he's like the guts of the show. But I think you said you've never seen Berserk. So,
Right, but I still understand the reference. He's there to beat stuff and he's cool for it.
also, unlike last time, we now have images that seem to also fit. So,
Oh yeah, they're all equalized too. This is nice.
you're not guessing who person is based on their bust down. All right.
So
Next up, we have Allium. I'm gonna go ahead and solidly put him in D tier.
you don't
Uh,
remember?
yeah, I would say, due to a previous agreement we also made, that if we don't remember who they are, they go to the bottom. So it all depends on you now
I'm
remembering.
looking at him, I'm thinking, and I just don't remember either. D tier. He's completely forgettable.
I will say, I remember his face. I just don't remember what he's done.
Hmm. Oh, wasn't he the sleazy businessman at the first arc of season 2?
I want to say no.
Yeah, maybe that's a different character. Well, since we don't know, moving on to someone we do know. Almira Bauduin.
Bauduin.
Yeah.
Remember, they all share, Gaelio has the same last name. Because
Yeah,
they're
I know,
related.
just hard for me to pronounce right now. But yeah, no, this character is a good character. Their presence is kind of weird, but I think, like, for what they do and what maybe they're important for, I think they're interesting, but they also do hang on McGillis a whole lot. Like, they wouldn't be important if McGillis wasn't a character. What do you think?
Well, I'm waiting for you to give me your tier, and then
Ah,
I'll bust into mine.
I'll probably go with the middle of the road B here.
Well, we're agreed again. I was gonna put her at B as well. She's not important, but I feel like if you look back at all of our reactions, I had a lot of strong emotional attachments that I put on her because I expected things that didn't happen. So that even when McGillis went into his whole, she stabs him in the hand thing, and I promise I'll never hurt you stuff, I still had all that emotional baggage riding. So I don't
Yeah,
think she falls down for being a negligible character, but still emotionally important.
right. Alright, next one's yours.
Yep, Amida. Uh, as I said, the most beautiful woman in the entire show. Very much tied to Naze. For me, she's S tier. She had a bunch of important fights. She went down in a blaze of glory. She, I feel, was the female guts of the show. That's where I put her.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I would definitely also put her in S tier. She's definitely a character who is hyper competent. She does literally everything. She can do engineering. She can do the fights. She's taking care of an entire family. She's managing the entire business. She's everything at once, and doesn't come over the top as, like, as some people would say, like, oh, she's a Murray Sue. She keeps doing well at everything. It's like, no, she just is a good, competent character doing all the things that their life involves.
Yeah, they're not constantly getting into fights. So,
Mhm,
her being good at a slew of things doesn't play much as hard. Doesn't play as hard as the main
mhm.
characters doing it.
Like, if she suddenly popped out of nowhere and said, I understand the quantum physics behind this, I'm going to take Ein's brain and put it into this. It's like, wait a second, that actually does come out of nowhere. But no, she does everything she needs to do. Next up is Aston Altland. So, Aston, he was basically part of that second arc there. And as the second main character, he gets a lot of screen time, and he's definitely the very mopey, depressive, I'm only space trash thing that kind of goes around. He's sort of like Mikazuki for the same reason of, like, failing to express a whole lot, but he does actually feel something and then tells people how he feels, and it actually matters. He's angry that he's being invited over because he doesn't want to have this relationship he doesn't think he deserves. He sacrifices himself because he does value that friendship even so, despite what he said. I think he is an amazingly good character. I would put it at S. He has a full arc, he gets done with, and it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to be that guy, having put him in my top 5 episode character stuff. But I'm gonna say A tier, which is gonna knock him down one.
Yep.
Um, he is good. And I really do like him. By the way, clarification note: it's human debris and space rat.
Ah, of course.
I just remembered.
It's hard to keep track sometimes,
Well,
but
it's the two things. I guess human debris is planet based. Space rat is space based.
I guess, yeah.
I guess that's our space noid earthenoid of this show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, no. The clarifier, to build off of what you said, he's the Mikazuki I wish we had.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we see him develop from basically the same way Mikazuki did, being controlled by space pirates to versus mercenaries, and growing emotionally attached to somebody to the point where he'll sacrifice his life for them. He even considers himself a weapon, but
Mhm.
lives with the other dude's sister and helps them out in normal fucking day-to-day shit too. So yeah,
Right.
A tier. Because I voted him one less than you, so S minus A equals A.
Yep, yep. So, you're up next.
Yep, that girl's name I forget all the time. Atra. She is adorable. We have a sad backstory where she's starving on the streets after escaping. I don't know what kind of house I was about to call it, but some weird house full of affluent ladies. She
She goes to the
basically,
cactus shop.
she has the less abusive version of McGillis's backstory. Um, but yeah, in that relationship through out the series to Mikazuki for some reason.
Hmm.
Like, I don't even know why. He's not even like the best choice. I guess if you consider, this has been thrown out to me by the way, that they're all nearest the same age, but some of them look younger due to malnourishment.
Right.
Like she spent a lot of her developing years being starved to death. If you consider that, and that Akihiro is the same age as her, nearish, I would say he would have been a better choice.
Hmm.
Or Eugene. Eugene would have been a better choice. They're better rounded characters. Biscuit would have been a better choice.
Right. That almost would make sense, right?
Although,
So
like,
let's
at
see.
the same time, they're very close together. Like, she spends a lot of time with Biscuit's sisters. That almost seems like family, even though they're not.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna put her at B tier.
Uh, you know what? I would probably put her at B tier as well. I think she's definitely a good character. We talked about her during the overarching season stuff, and you did make like a bunch of good points. She is an interesting character, but she also kind of really relies on like other characters to get anything done for her. For her own like momentum or story beats. It always has to be someone else.
She literally get relegated to the kitchen.
Yep. Next one is Azee Gurumin, the cool-looking silent type of the group. I definitely liked her, at least like as far as character design. Like we've definitely been over the fact that we have a whole bunch of very stone-faced, uh, I'm only here to murder kind of characters, and she's got the face for it. But she's more interesting than that. She's obviously not completely dehumanized. She's like the good version to everyone else's space rat, basically. So I think I'm trying to think like what does she do? At the end of the series, she's definitely in charge. But I don't remember much about what she actually does other than being a really good mech pilot. I would probably still place her in B tier, I think.
Well, this is another one where my opinion is gonna drag down a character that you were gonna put
Ooh.
higher. Don't get me wrong, I like her, but amongst a trio of people, she was the silent, mature
She's the
one.
forgettable one.
No, she's not forgettable because she did things. She was the mature attitude. When somebody was going to go off flying off the hook, she would give the advice about what to do. That was like the sensible advice. At the same time, she got no direct character development herself until the end where Lofner gets shot, and then her character development is to show up later in charge.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm putting her at C, in that she got no characterization.
It happened off screen,
So
essentially.
B minus C equals
We
C.
just go to the we go to the lower of the two.
Alright, next up, Biscuit Griffon.
I gotta
Oh,
say, I love the picture of him right there. It's so goofy.
one of your three namesake characters. But,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna have to admit I'm not super in love with Biscuit. He was the first character thrown under the bus of somebody has to die. I didn't super enjoy his self-righteous episode. Um, at best, his love for his two sisters was his most endearing quality, as I think we'll find post his death. Other people stepped in to give somewhat alright advice that he would have given. I'll say B tier.
Right. Biscuit is definitely higher up for me. Like he serves early on as a as the officer who's there to actually counter Orca and say something different and have things moving along. And I think that was a good position. And later on, I'm not sure if any of the rest of the bridge crew really ended up filling that role. Everyone else kind of goes along, I think. The interesting parts about Griffin are, of course, like the family and his characterization, where he's friendly with people, he engages with them, he actually cares, uh, and he's trying to do a lot of like all of this work all at once. But he's only one person. He's like the person who's helping prop up Orca early on and like smoothing out those bumps, I think. He also, of course, like you said, he gets thrown under the bus, but I still think he still got a good send off. I still think I still liked that it had value and it at least showed that the show was willing to do what it said it was going to do, kill characters, and two, actually make them important. Um and of course he's named Biscuit Griffon. I have to put him at S tier.
Well, S minus B equals A.
Yep, he's going A. Up next, Brooke Kabayan. So I think this is actually the middle of season one pirate guy when they're on their way to Tewaz, I think.
Correct.
Yeah. So he's got this weird pig nose thing kind of going on, but he's just a throwaway villain. He's there to be completely cruel and then dunked on. Uh, I would honestly go ahead and put him at C tier because I remember him and he does what he needed to do, but what I am not thinking about him a whole lot.
Alright, well, sorry, I'm just considering. No.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna drag you down again, Griff.
Oh, do so.
I don't think being remembered because you have a pig nose is worth getting a rank because despite being the captain of his ship, he doesn't do anything. Like, there's another guy on this list who's associated with him who does a lot more stuff and gets more screen time.
Yeah, the first mate dude, yeah.
Yeah, I think this guy is D tier because literally the only thing about him is the what's wrong with your face thing.
So put that sound clip in, and there he goes to D. Alright, you're next.
Okay. Chad, the off joking about bomb survivor.
What about Chad?
Chad,
Yeah,
it's literally his name. He's a
Chad.
he's a joke from the moment he appears in the ending credit voiceover thing. The face that we have for him is that super uncertain face he has the entire show.
Mhm.
He does important stuff in that he like becomes the assistant to the other guy who does nothing important.
Right, yeah, like, around that time, he ends up being just their permanent bodyguard and assistant, and he's involved with, like, the whole bomb thing. I
Yeah,
think he's the reason why that character actually lives, if I recall right.
I just recall they both survived a flower bomb and then put the same looking flower arrangement in their next apartment. This is gonna be a solid C tier for me.
I think I'm just gonna go ahead and outright agree with you. Chad probably deserved more focus. He's one of the bridge crew, but he just didn't get it.
The entertainment of his name keeps him above D tier.
Next up, Cookie Griffon. So, gotta love these names. One of the two sisters for Biscuit. We do get like little bits of them through the series showing that even after he dies, they're at school, they're talking, and they become perspective characters for like what's happening on Earth or how other people feel about Tekkadan. Um, and they are absolutely adorable. Uh, Honestly, just because they're adorable, I'd probably put them all the way up at B tier. They're not really that relevant a whole lot of the time. They're It's not their story. They're just having fun farming and growing up and being kids. But they're the reward for everyone else.
Would you mind if we did Cracker at the same time?
Absolutely, they basically are a package.
I'm mousing over Cracker here, so our viewers know Cracker, Cookie, Cracker. Um,
Mhm.
Once again, I love these two. I think they're the most adorable children in the show. However, I'm going to drag you down one more time. They
Fair enough. They don't know how to cross the road, so
literally, that is the most important thing that they did the entire show because arguably, Mikazuki and the gang wouldn't know who McGillis and Gaelio were if they didn't stop them in the road by pulling that shit that they did in episode 1.
you just can't play in the street like that, you know?
But yeah, I put them down at C tier. B minus C is a C.
Yep, there we go. So that
Next
was
up, Coral Conrad, my example of a bad Yellowhorn officer.
he's the one in charge of Mars Command early on, right?
He is the episode 1 guy that dies by episode 3.
There you go. So
Uh,
how do you feel about him?
I mean, he led to our early misunderstanding about Yellowhorn outfits because he's still the only one I know that ever wore a red outfit. Which actually, I think
It's
about it,
red for Mars.
yeah, I was about to say that maybe he was the only Gallor officer directly stationed on Mars that we ever met.
Hmm.
Um, C tier, because he's important to the early show, and that's it.
Yeah, I'd agree. He puts things in motion a little bit. He reacts to what everyone is doing. He doesn't live. That would make the next one. Your favorite. I wonder where you're going to put him. Crank Zent. Early character we meet. Really cool and honorable. Uh, and unironically makes us start rooting for Gallarhorn. He honestly goes into S tier. He's a great individual character. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's the first person to stop and go, "Wait a second, hold up. I'm fighting kids. This isn't right. I need to stop."
Yeah, once
And
again,
he engineers a situation to specifically kill the least amount of kids to accomplish his objective.
he's the character that fulfills the ideals of other high-fruitant characters throughout Gundam in a show that he was too good for. So,
Uh, Here's also another funny thing. He wears a gray uniform.
yep, early season was ambiguous about what these things meant.
I need to get the rules and regulations for Gallarhorn fashion. That's what we need.
I mean, I had a black uniform. So, and I encountered other people with black uniforms. So, what the fuck?
Well, they were investigators at some point. That's why we thought the blue was what it was, but that just turned out to be Earth.
That just turned out to be standard. I mean, even the guy at Dort Station was wearing blue.
Hmm. All right, you're next.
And up next is a character I'm just gonna call Hughes, because I don't think I can pronounce the first name off the bat.
Cucubita.
Um, she is Cudelia's assistant. For the life of me, I can't remember any of her voice lines. I hate to do it, I had to put her at D, because I also can't remember doing anything important.
Right. I could put it at C, but still gonna round it down to D. Uh, She does have a couple of moments I remember where she basically is acting as like secondary mom for a moment, but she doesn't really appear much after that. She's Cadeli's assistant. That's what she's there for.
Shoehorned in.
Yep. Here we go. Dane Uhai. The guy who doesn't open his eyes. I think he was a part of the forces on Earth during season 2, if I recall right. I can't remember if they picked him up before that. They may have. But he's definitely like a part of the small crew of people who are basically the lower ranked characters. He's one of the voice pieces for it, and like Azee, he's the one who pops up and then says something smart. I think. Uh, for that, his role is pretty limited. Otherwise, I would put him at C tier. He has a purpose, and he fulfills the purpose.
I'm gonna have to drag you down again.
Oh,
He had like 2 conversations that I can recall, and he helped dig. Other than that, he's a character with no characterization. He is, as Red Letter Media would describe, tell me about his character without describing his physical appearance.
oh yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, he's D tier for me. C minus D is a D.
All right. So
Next
up is
up is,
yours.
Dante Mogro.
Describe his character without describing his physical appearance.
Well, I was gonna say, if I didn't put his name underneath his picture, I don't remember who this is. So that's a clear D for me.
Wow, you don't remember it? Isn't this the guy who is basically the Taewa's antagonist? Isn't
No,
he?
no.
No, I gotta look through the pictures real quick and see if there's someone else. You might be right. He might have been a blonde, actually. Yeah, no, there's someone else later on.
Are you thinking of
This is the
Jasley?
guy I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking of Jocelyn, so it's not him. So who the hell was Dante?
That's not for
Pretty
us to
good.
figure it out. If you
No,
don't
Dante, he
remember,
goes into D.
yeah, we came up with this rule to expedite things.
I agree. Next one, Derma Altland. Um, when does he show up? Is he actually one of the space kids? Yeah, no, Aston is also one of the space kids from the pirate adventure that they end up rescuing. So that means Derma must be as well, right? Oh wait, they're all related. That's right. Akiho also has the last name. This is the one Akiho has to kill. Um, that said, he doesn't get a whole lot of time. They have to flesh out the entire backstory in one episode, go through with the antagonism of like you left us behind, and then kill them off all at once. Uh, I would put him at he serves a purpose C.
I'm gonna drag you down again.
Okay.
You had to do a lot of work to fucking remember who this was. And I don't think you remember him at all. I think you just did a lot of association to remember a blank character spot in the show, and you put him there.
It's how my memory works. I just improv until I get it right.
I would
So
argue that if I wrote any other name there, you would have been like,
who's
no,
this guy?
yeah. So I'm putting him at D, which drags him down to D.
Mm,
Next up is Dexter, the accountant, who I'm going to put at C tier. He doesn't have a lot of characterization, but he does show up throughout both seasons, and if not for him, they probably wouldn't have gotten off of Mars, because he
right.
handed the financing to buy the ship.
Mhm. Right. He definitely fits. He serves a purpose. He goes to sea. I do like him, but he exists to do his job, and that's the extent of the things that he does as a character.
I mean, he's already a tier below the other character who exists to do their job, which
Mhm.
is again Atra the chef.
Right. But Atra's cuter.
Yep.
So next we have Ein Dalton. I wonder how you feel about this one, Theta. Needless to say, Ein Dalton, successor to Crank, tries to follow along with the ideals, tries to do the best he can, keeps trying to fight these kids, and he pays for it. He dies, but not really, because he comes back again, this time completely disfigured, and then he fails again. And then he comes back again, this time as a brain in a mech, and then finally succeeds. He's got a long ass journey, and he's the most tragic character here in terms of their starting position. Other people like start low and then just end low. So it's like, okay, you didn't really lose much here. You just had a horrible life. I started reasonably high, and everything afterwards was just completely downhill. He is tragic. I'd give him S tier.
I mean, obviously, I'm also giving him S tier. I just also want to clarify that he didn't actually start high. Um, that lowborn, highborn argument from before.
He had more to lose than the
Crank,
space rats and human debris.
Crank elevated him up, but there was a specific scene where a bunch of highborn encounter Ein in a hallway and basically do the high school shove him into a wall. Like, why are you here? Because Ein is basically to them what the space rats are to everybody else.
Right.
So he basically got pulled up from below and then viciously beaten and shoved back down into
over and over again. It was
All
fun.
right. Next up, Eugene Seven Stark.
He has a
Basically,
middle name?
Tekken's second in command.
After poor biscuits.
I will say it's probably A tier in that he's constantly trying to prove himself, and I enjoyed that about his character until he becomes like a hardened asshole in season 2.
Right. He has a bit of character development. He's trying to interact with things. He has roles to do, and he has opinions on them. When we compare him like versus Chad, where Chad is just kind of sad but does his job, Eugene stands out as a person who has a full character, but it's just not his story. So I would give him A tier. And now here's a fun one. Fumitan Admoss, character who dies during the Dort Act. And she's very interesting. From the beginning, it's very much a case of she's spying on them, she's definitely the spy. And they give us the runaround on that for a second. But it kind of ultimately wraps back around to doesn't like her job, she doesn't like Kudelia, but she still ends up taking the bullet. She's still God convinced, and she's the character that proves Kudelia has like some value to herself. Because I think her confidence was kind of flagging up until that point, which is why she makes the big speech afterwards. So it's a shame that she's a mechanism for someone else's growth. But I think as a character, I was interested and excited to see what she would be up to. I was waiting for her to have her moment of kicking someone out of an airplane window and laughing about it, and then shooting them as they're falling. I wanted her to do that. Uh, Shame it didn't. I would put her at A tier.
Once again, I'm dragging you down every time, Griff.
You gotta.
Well, I'm putting her at B tier. We did call her out the first time we saw her. That's gonna be the spy. And she turned out to be exactly who we thought she was. So, I mean, I really liked her, but she did only survive half of a season and had no explicit character growth except for the one episode that she died in.
She does have moments where she's considering what she values, and those are like personal monologues to herself. But she doesn't change from them. She just explains them.
Other than that, she hugged
Her
a bunch
growth
of
is
kids.
the end. Yeah. So this one's yours.
Gaelio Bauduin, otherwise known as Vidal, picture chosen, maskless. So, had the choice, chose not to go with mask.
Fair, fair.
Um, very storied character in it for the entire show.
Yeah, he's there from beginning to end.
Temptation to put him in S tier, but I feel as though I said in the last thing, don't give a shit, that I feel the best I can do is A tier. He is a motivator for a bunch of stuff that I did care about, and the actor upon vengeance of things I wanted to see vengeance taken upon.
Your sort of personal sword of Damocles here. All
My,
right.
my Suletta, if you will.
So I would have put him at S tier. That's going to put him down to A anyway. That's fine. Uh, while you say you don't care about him and you put him so highly, I do care about him. I thought his story was interesting and exciting and emotional, and I wanted to know what he was going to do next. Which is why it's a shame he's kind of mostly moping around during season 2 until he finally gets to do something. But that's okay. He's Chekhov's gun. He did what he needed.
Well, I think the fact that I put him up so high shows how important I recognize that he is,
Mhm.
despite not caring about him.
Right. Next is Galan Mossa, the guy who was instigating a lot of the rebellion stuff for the season 2 number 2 arc. Uh, he's kind of an interesting character. He's got like a good bit of charisma. He had a motive, and he was there to do his job. Uh, I remember a couple scenes of McGillis literally twisting his arm to get him to do this. I think. So he had more than one dimension to him. He wasn't just like, I'm doing rebellion because I need rebellion. He's like, no, I have several different motivations here, and they're all kind of conflicting. And then he bites the dust because he's the antagonist and can't reveal what McGillis is up to until it happens next. I would probably put him in B tier. Uh, he's great, but I prefer him less than other antagonists.
I'm putting him at C tier, and one, I'm doing him a favor, and two, I will explain why I'm doing you a favor.
Do so.
For one thing, Galen worked for Rustal, so even you couldn't remember what side he was playing. Because
Yeah,
you
you're right.
remember that on the battlefield he was fighting on? McGillis was literally on the other side fighting against him. So,
It just
A,
seemed like the kind of Zanato's gambit that would happen.
so literally you couldn't even get that right about him. That's how bad a character he was. The only reason I'm doing him a favor and not putting him at D, because he's very confusing his motivations. The only thing he did was give Akihiro his phrase, because he's the first one to say, good people don't succeed, while he's trying to kill somebody with the implication of, if I kill you, you must have been good. Because Akihiro says it to two other people that he tries to kill. That's his only lasting contribution, and the only thing keeping above D.
Hmm. All right, you're next.
Henri Fleurs. D tier. What's your
You
input?
don't even remember, do you?
Do you?
No.
D tier.
uh, Hush Middy. So, Bakugo here, uh, comes in during season 2. He's the new character to kind of relate in the perspective of the audience to everything. Because he's there to ask questions and get involved in stuff. And then he gets a bit of his own arc where he really, really wants to be like Mikazuki, to the extent of like doing surgery to get the Alea Vignana stuff, despite that his friend died and then committed suicide. No, got paralyzed from it and then committed suicide. So he has this weird set of motivations, uh, but he's kind of fun to have around. I think the series is better for having him there than him not. I would put him at B tier.
I was considering C, but I think I can agree with you on B. He doesn't do anything. I think we made the joke that he's like crybaby Bakugo. Because I want, but I got no ability to get it myself. So, it's really all he does. he helps dig at the end instead of running away. I mean, God, even that makes me want to put him at C. The fact he wanted to run away and to be like guilt tripped into helping people dig the tunnel. But yeah, no, I've gone
He's
against
human.
I've gone against you so many times with one lower. I think I gotta at least give you Crybaby Bakugo.
There we go. You're next.
Yep, Iok Kujan. A character I enjoyed when I first met him, and then hated when he killed two other S tier characters. Yeah. I think the comment section labeled him, oh god, my brain stopped working. Oxygen denial has gotten to me. God, what was his name? Oh yeah,
Which character?
Idiot Don Quixote. The comment section labeled him Idiot Don Quixote. I
I gotta
think
agree.
he is a solid B tier. My hatred for him does not dissuade me from the importance he played to other characters, nor his love for his men, and the Carta level of regret for their deaths.
Mhm. For me, he's such a goofy loser. I I hate him conceptually, but I like that I dislike him. He's entirely there to be a foil, and he just fucks up all the time, and it's fantastic. I want to put him at S tier because he just causes so much shit that everyone else has to deal with. He where we talk about like what do these characters do? I know what Kujan did because I'm not letting it go.
Right. So S minus B equals A.
Yep, goes A. Next is Isurugi Camice. I feel like I recognize the face somewhat, but I don't remember much about him. So that's D for me. What do you remember, Theta?
I want to say he is one of the Gallahorn guys who sacrificed his life early in season 1. However, the fact that I can't remember for sure makes him D tier.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you're next.
Iznario Fareed. Um, McGill is his adopted father. In general, somebody who had 3 scenes throughout the anime and changed his appearance for no reason in season 2. I guess for character motivation's sake, I have to put him at C tier.
I think I agree too. We don't get a whole lot of him, but he is exactly what he needs to be. So he's C. He does his job. Oh, but here's the fun one. Jasley Donomikols.
The guy you got confused for a little bit earlier.
The guy I got confused for a little bit ago because he has like reddish brown hair, and I immediately went, "Oh, that's him."
Yeah,
It's
but he
like,
has
no,
the
it's not.
Superman haircut as
Yeah,
opposed to
he's
the other
got the
guy.
little curl there. Uh, he is reprehensibly evil. He's just smug about it the entire time, and he's like antagonizing people from even season 1, if I remember right.
You don't.
No, no, okay. So, yeah, but he does mostly do that season 2. He's pushing a lot of the early action. Uh, and I really like just how awful he is. He's a good character. I wanted him to lose. Uh, he's S tier for me.
My thing is, he was a character for one arc of one season. The reprehensibility is very much weighing me down. He's a sexist asshole who also orchestrated the deaths of my 2 S tier characters. I'm gonna meet you halfway. I'm gonna put him at B tier, which is gonna push him to A tier.
Makes sense. Uh, you're
Yep,
next.
next up is Julieta Juris. the character who ate a butterfly early on in season 2 for no reason. Like, it's not a character trait. She doesn't do anything like that
That
ever again.
that never gets explained or anything. It's so weird.
Also, Gaelio's love interest, as it turns out. Uh, she also the one who kills Mikazuki. Shit, I forgot about that. S tier. I forgot she's the one who gets the tilt kill.
You know what? I'll even give it to you. But not just because she kills Mikazuki, but because she's being onboarded to the current ongoing vengeance, and she's curious and has questions, and she ends up having to be the person that deals with like Kujan and everyone else's mishaps. She's highly capable, and the only thing about her is that she's maybe like a little flat in her characterization, but she still goes up to Russell and like asks a deep philosophical question because she actually cares and is interested about things. Uh, I would have liked to have seen more of her, of course. Uh, so with her at S tier, next one is Kudal Kadel. Don't remember the name, but I do remember exactly who he was. He's the second mate of the pirate crew that they go and beat up, and he has all the personality. He does way more than the captain does. He's the one down there beating the kids. So he's horrible, reprehensible. He's a throwaway villain, but he's got some personality in there. I would at least just toss him up to B.
What I appreciate is that people whose names we didn't know their last name when we see it, and it's just a respelling of their first name. Kudel. Yeah, this is the guy we made fun of for being a space bodybuilder. For
Yeah,
despite the fact that Akihiro is also a space bodybuilder. Yeah, I think I can meet you at B tier. Like I said, this is the guy that on Pigface's ship, he actually had characterization and did things.
right.
Me next, right?
Yep, yep.
Cordelia Anna Bernstein. A tier. I'm gonna put her at A tier. Only because if she had did as much stuff as she did in season 1 during season 2, I would have put her S tier easy. But she got dismissed in season 2 for some reason.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I would put her at S tier almost entirely just based on season 1. And like we've said before, it's a shame that there wasn't even more of her in season 2. So A tier she goes. Great character. Really necessary for the whole series. Uh oh, it's our other favorite character, Lofter Franklin. So Theta, you want to go to the Build-A-Bear workshop?
Yeah, they haven't been renamed yet, so we should be safe.
It's only after the renaming. We still got like what, 30, 40 years on that? Uh we don't need to say a whole lot. A lot of her characterization is literally the during the episode she dies, but it's really, really good. She's the peppy one of the group. She's optimistic and happy, and the fact that she's the one that gets gunned down is just like such a just hurts. So I think that's really good. I would also toss her up there.
You didn't even say a letter,
Oh,
Griff.
sorry, I still stuck on the previous one. S tier.
It's gonna surprise you, but I'm gonna disagree.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna put her at A tier. I will disagree with you though. She had a lot of characterization. Of the trio, when we first met them, she's the one with all of the characterization. She's the one painting her nails and her mech. She's the one who, air quotes, teaches one of them what manhood is. During season 1. During season 2, she spends all her time around Akihiro while he's training and has those talks with Azee about what's important or not.
Yeah, the
So,
relationship isn't out of nowhere. It technically was being built up the entire time.
well, no, I just mean that she gets a ton of characterization.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Maknae took it up. The old guy who does nothing and goes nowhere.
Mr. Japanese, got it.
The guy in the angry episodes where I got upset that they didn't orbital bombard. And some might ask, well, which one? Well, the season 1 ones. The guy who gets voted in president in season 1 and voted out in season 2.
Hey, yeah, he had at least one term, right?
I will put him at D tier. He has characterization. He was important for a little bit, but fuck that guy.
I would put him at B tier myself because when he shows up, he instantly has personality. He's doing important stuff. He does become a bit of MacGuffin, but that's because everyone needs to get him to the location for him to be important. And he's in on that. He has insights. He's thinking, and I feel like he's like a real person, as opposed to some of the robots here.
His hairstyle
So,
changed, apparently.
well, you get older, you lose some hair.
Well, I just remember we had made comments about his crazy hairstyle. And in this picture, he doesn't have it.
Yep. Let's see who's next. Maruba Arca. I do not remember exactly who they are.
So you're saying D tier?
I'm having to D-tier it for me. It just doesn't come to mind.
I think the part of this I like the most is that if one of us doesn't remember and the other one does, it instantly draws them down by a lot. I want to say no takebacks, by the way.
Fair enough.
You didn't remember who they were. They're D tier for you, permanent. Maruba Arca, is the commander of the mercenary group that Tekkadan was before they became Tekkadan. He shows up on Naze's ship, calling them space rats and human debris, trying to get them back. Unfortunately, despite having said all that, at best I would put them at C tier, which makes them D tier anyway.
Right. If I could change my mind, I would still put him in D-tier.
Right. I just wanted to say that for future consideration.
I wasn't certain if he was that guy, but he doesn't exist long enough for me to care about him.
Well, it's because he has a very serious face in this picture, where I think he did a lot more groveling and panic outside of the one time we saw him in episode 1.
I love that my impression here of the tier maker that I'm seeing has this next character cut off at the nose, so just the two eyes looking blankly ahead, and it's fantastic.
I think it's easier if you just look at the folder I gave you.
Oh, I've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, because I'm trying to keep the tier list in the picture the most.
I'm just saying I love it, but it's your turn.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, that's a shame. I was really hoping you were going to read it and forget who this was.
Have you forgotten?
Well, it's Akihiro Altland. If I recall correctly, this is Akihiro's brother.
But is he the one who died?
Yes.
The one that Akihiro specifically killed? Or
Yes.
is that the other one?
No, it's Akihiro. This is the one who gets, crushed in the cockpit thing and gives, their backstory speech while blood's floating around him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can tell. A, size of picture. 2, detail of picture.
So, where would you place him?
C. Literally, they barely matter in the episode that they're in. Akihiro never mentions them again.
I would put him down to D. With the rest of Akihiro's brothers. It's gotta balance the scales. Next up, McGillis Fareed. One of my favorite characters right here. He's there basically the entire series. He's responsible for basically everything. He's got so much going on. He even did a whole hidden mask thing for a while, which was hilarious. But I did like him. He's had a great send off. I felt like I understood why he was doing things and that everything he did followed logically, and he did it with this cold calculating stance that I kind of like out of villains. So He's S tier for me.
I think I have previously said couldn't give a shit, but I also cannot deny the importance he had to the show. Literally, from season one, from episode one to the end,
Hmm.
everything based around him. Arguably, I would say if the show had a main character, despite him not being in it all the time, it was probably him. So S tier.
There you go. All right, and you're
Next
next.
up is McMurdo Barriston, one of the two background characters of high importance but low visibility. I would say B tier.
Okay. Um, I would give A tier. While he is like very background, he's there. He exists to be politics. I feel like he has a lot going on, specifically because he interacts with Orga and Naze, and he has a concern beyond just like being the political mover. He's like, wait, who's going to replace me? Oh, I like all of these kids. Well, it's a shame that they all keep dying. Unfortunately, he still gets put a B for that.
Yeah, he's certainly the more present of the two primary background actors.
Hmm. So you got the next one.
No, I just read this guy.
Did you? Oh, okay. So Merbit Stapleton, the Tewaz character who comes to join the crew to keep him in line a little bit.
Insane first name, normal last.
Stapleton.
I can imagine now Stapleton showing up in uh, the Sherlock novel.
Hmm. But she's interesting because, uh, she's supposed to be the adult on board for a bit, or at least like the assigned one, and she very quickly takes a backseat to literally everyone. I'm not sure after a certain point what she's really doing. And at the end of the day, she's mostly just doing accounting, with our other boy here, Dexter. She has a brief little bit where she's about to have like some sort of relationship with Orga, and I'm just like, he's under your age bracket. This isn't good. Uh, she still is, for someone who doesn't pop up a whole lot or end up being super critical to the plot or anything. She's still an enjoyable character. I would still put her at B.
I think I would agree for B tier. Specifically, if not for the fact she was my mouthpiece in season one, when, like, you kids shouldn't be doing this. You she tried to stop them on the road to Canada.
Hmm.
She voiced all my concerns, despite sticking with the group. B sounds good.
Okay. So now I'm ready for you to lose your voice and go unconscious. You know who you gotta introduce.
Mikazuki August, S tier.
Mhm.
I fucking hate him, but for the same reason that I can't deny McGillis's importance to the show. I can't straight up deny Mikazuki's importance to the show. That's it.
Theta, I just want you to name one thing you like about Mikazuki.
Taste in women.
All right, Esther. We we both really don't like him a whole lot, and yet he's still a focal character, and this is his story. And if I were to say something positive, it would be in the last few episodes, or episodes where specifically he's interacting with Orga and trying to pump Orga back up, is the most human we see him. And
I.
when he displays human characteristics, I suddenly go, wait a second, is this a likable main character?
It's not my fault the camera decides to follow him, or that he found the most powerful Gundam in existence.
True. Alright. Up next then is Nadi Yukinojo Kasapa. You know what? He's the mechanic. Didn't really know his name most of the series, but he's the mechanic. And he's another one of those adult voice of reason characters that's there the entire time, doing his job and interacting with everyone. He has a lot of those that like folksy wisdom kind of speeches that he pumps other people up with. I think I do like him as a character. I kind of wish there was more of him. In a smaller group, he would probably still be there as the adult on board, the primary adult on board. Whereas, like, we have all these other adults on board that just kind of hang around. I would give him A tier.
I am going to have to drag him down to B tier.
No.
During season one, early season one, he was the voice of wisdom.
Mm.
He would give advice to whoever who was hanging out in the bay. Um, and then after that, he became 50% of the voice of reason. And I don't have that much of a problem putting it at B tier because his girlfriend is at B tier.
There we go. They can hang out together. This is fine. You're next.
All right, next up is Navona Mingo, D tier.
Yeah, I don't remember either. D tier.
I think, best guess, he was one of the guys on Dort Station.
Oh yeah, he may have been the rebel leader, but even so, there's not a whole lot of character to work with.
Yeah, the
He's
fact,
there to die.
I can't
Unfortunately.
remember pings him down.
All right. Up next is Naze Turban, S tier. Just straight up S tier. He had the coolest look. We were so excited to see him, and when we got him, he's the best character. I want a series around him. S tier.
Good. I mean, we saw his backstory. Obviously, he's S tier. He's one of my primary 4 S tier people.
Hmm. So far, this is pretty evenly balanced then.
Yeah, a lot more than season 1 was.
All right.
Next
Uh,
up is Nobles Gordon, the more silent of the 2 background antagonists, and the one that has ordered the assassination of at least 3 of them
mhm.
and accomplished 2 of them.
For sitting down in a chair, he actually gets things done, huh?
Oh, actually, he's the one we see naked most. You know, like in a sauna or a bathroom. C tier. He's important, but I don't give a shit about him.
Obviously, since he has the most power while naked, he's S tier. No, well, I'm gonna put him in C tier too. I think he's, I think he's good, but he doesn't do anything more than he has to here.
All right.
Uh, Norba Shino, one of the other pilots at the very end. He doesn't get a lot of screen time. I don't really remember a whole lot of details about him or even what he did. I just remember where he sat. He's D tier.
I wanted to put him at C tier, but even if I did, he'd get dragged down to D tier. So
Hmm.
that's fine. Yeah, no, he's like when shit, what was his name again? Uh
Norba Shino.
no, I was trying to remember Eugene's name. He's part of that group, like the side group. He's
The
the
bridge crew.
no, the side group. Remember, like Eugene gets his own ship, and they do things separately
Oh,
from the
yeah,
main
yeah.
group.
So he's third fiddle.
He's in that group. He's the jokey. He's the jokey guy in that group. Like specifically, I remember him like elbowing people when he's making jokes.
He's there to be ordered by Eugene. So, I think next
Me,
one's yours.
yep. Norman Bernstein. Sorry, I'm remembering the alternate universe. Uh, he is seen in one episode basically selling his daughter. S tier. No, uh, D tier. This dude's a piece of shit. He has no characterization. We see him once. That's it.
Yeah, he does not exist in the story beyond the first moment he appears. That's it. D tier. Up next though, Orga Itsuka. Uh, honestly, the better of the main character pair. So we definitely talked about before that these two come as a package because Orga is fulfilling all the command roles, and Mikazuki's fulfilling the Gundam fight roles. Because of this, Orga has all the personality. Stuff happens for him. He emotes. He cares about things that happen. He's surprised when different things happen. He learns and grows. He gets angry. He does stuff. He's interesting to follow. And at the very end, uh, he has a wonderful moment of action and then dies. He's great. I loved him. S tier.
Alright, drag him up to S.
And
Again,
you, no
he's like,
disappointment.
well, he's like Mikazuki. Not somebody I particularly care about all that much, but at the same time, can't deny their importance to the story.
I won't do the thing with Mikazuki where I ask you to say like one positive thing because at the very least you already demonstrated you at least liked some of Orga more than Mikazuki, who barely had anything.
Taste in suits.
There you go.
Although I can't say that's on him. He probably picked that up from Naze. Alright, next up is Roside Rigliotto. I'm gonna put him at D tier because, well, for two reasons. One, I'm only partially sure I remember who he is. And two, if I'm correct in who he is, I would put him at D tier.
Fair enough. I don't remember who he is. Who do you think he is?
I think he's the guy who betrayed Tekkadan to, what's his name, Gaelio, during
You're right.
during that arc.
Yeah, he's the disappointed paper pusher who ends up betraying them. Yeah,
Which
D
means
tier.
that his characterization is that of, I can't complete this call. So,
Ride Mass. Who?
crap, I gotta zoom out. Because I know you're gonna put him at D tier. I was gonna expand D tier up the list.
It's gonna be D tier because I don't remember them. They look like one of the adorable girls or whatever, but I don't remember who they are. Are they one of the other pilots of the trio from Naze's group?
You already couldn't remember, which puts them at D tier. So to correct
Yeah.
you, and there's no chance I'm gonna put them anywhere, that's gonna move them out of D tier. The end of season 1, little redhead kid who's joking around with the other kids. That's this guy.
I don't even remember that. Yeah, this is completely out of my brain.
It's like near the end of the episode. They're like standing underneath elevated train tracks.
Mhm.
Anyway, next up,
Sad.
Rustal Elliot S tier. He did nothing
Agreed.
wrong. He was the good guy of the story from season 2.
Just look at that villain face, though. Like, everything he did was full antagonist, cold, calculating energy, and he was an excellent foil for McGillis. These two, it was great to see them interact by constantly trying to beat each other. If it was any other villain, if McGillis had to go against Kujan, this would have been 2 episodes of a series. Russell is perfect for his role.
Yeah, not a villain. You have the
Antagonist.
perspective of him being a villain because of McGillis, who was the actual villain, and
McGillis did nothing
some
wrong.
actual villain, and somehow also main character.
Alright. Still, I think we both agree, still good. So next up is Sakura Pretzel. Continuing with the food puns, this is, of course, Biscuit's grandmother. She's taking care of the kids, cooking a cracker. She has the farm. People come down to the farm and visit. And I think she's still there at the end because the farm is still going. And she's not looking after the kids anymore, so I guess she's just still there taking care of the farm. Uh, she's interesting. She has personality. She even, I think was ready to go to town on McGillis, which immediately shoots her up in my favorites. But I would still just put her in B tier. She's a good character and does more than she needs to.
I appreciate that. I don't know what the standard of we'll go to town on somebody is, but I don't know. For my
She was
first,
gonna beat the shit out of McGillis.
yeah, I'm just saying my first thought usually isn't beat the shit out of when somebody says go to town on them. My first thought goes the other way. So for an
Fair
old
enough.
woman in McGillis. I'm sorry.
McGillis would probably also do that.
What tier did you say?
B tier.
I'm dragging you down again. C
Fair.
tier. She gave good advice like 3 times, and that's about it. Like, even when Biscuit's in a rough situation, he talks to Cookie and Cracker. She doesn't come up on the phone.
That is actually a hilarious point there. Biscuit could call anyone and doesn't call his grandmother for advice.
Alright, next up is Sandoval Routers, which is our Season 2 pirate/mercenary organization. D tier.
I would put him at C myself because he exists to do the job. He does it decently well. Um, but yeah, no, he's just not that memorable, not that important.
He
There's no
gets
quality I care about.
he gets as much characterization as his contemporary from Season 1, the pig face guy. And much like his contemporary, all he has going for him is a distinct facial thing.
Right.
He has a bullseye on his head, other guys a pig nose. That's all they
I'm
got.
actually kind of disappointed no one shot at the bullseye.
He never got off his ship.
I know. So up next is Severin Kennelly, Biscuit's cousin on Dort Station, and he's the guy who betrays everyone, and then tries to capture Kudelia, and then fails because he has no idea what she looks like. He is a loser, and I love it. I put him a B tier. He's the soft antagonist of that little arc.
Oh, this is the first case that you're actually dragging me down, Griff.
Ooh.
I wouldn't put him at A tier because I found him to be such a powerful and dynamic. Shit, the words were in my head a second ago. Not like
Double plus good.
well, I was gonna say moral something. What he was doing was for a good moral reason. He was trying to do something bad to cause the most moral good.
He wanted to prevent a bunch of people from dying and thought this was the way it was going to happen because he could only see the writing on the wall via the propaganda he got at his job.
Well, if you think about it, if he had succeeded, he would have been right. All those people would not have died in the street if Kudelia was actually captured. So, from his point of view, and then the disappointing...
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Well, you're throwing me off now.
I know.
And then the emotional backdrop of knowing that he was right from his point of view to losing his family and then committing suicide for it. Like, he paid the largest price for the largest gamble and lost everything.
Yeah.
So for me,
you put it best. He's got personality and he's dynamic.
So he's very much, for me, that makes him an A tier. He's above everybody else with good characterization, but, man, draw it down to B tier because he's a loser.
Well, you're up next.
Taki Uno, from my previous list of the 5 best episodes. Unfortunately, he's not the important part of that. That guy, we already put it A tier. I'd say this guy is a B tier for me.
For me, not a lot really comes to mind. I don't think he really has a whole lot to do most of the time. I kind of put him at C tier.
Alright, that drives him to C.
Just doesn't stick out for me.
He was in charge of all the Earth forces during the rebellion arc, and remember was trying to also put his sister through school. Yeah. He did an incredible amount of stuff, including assassinating a guy who was in our D tier
I I guess that mattered less to me than the person who actually went full sacrifice.
I would also
I
point
guess
out,
for me, he ends up being the object of desire rather than like a mover.
this is from the guy who forgot that arc existed.
Yeah. All right. Next up, my nemesis. It's Toto Mikurin, or Fat Hitler. Oh, he's such a sleazeball. He's there the entire time. We can't get rid of him. He's haunting me even in my dreams. He's S tier for no real reason. He's this odd, weird point of levity, despite the fact he was part of the group that was basically using kids as disposable weapons.
And you know the most galling fact? He was never fat.
He's chubby.
No, we named him Fat Hitler because in the first time we saw him, he was wearing a real puffy shirt. Yeah, like he was wearing a tank top that just like hung
Oh
off
no,
of him.
he had beer gut the whole way through. He still did it towards later
That
episodes.
doesn't matter. You could still see his ribs clearly. He never ate well.
Okay, so maybe he has a terrible diet too. But Fat Hitler, get out of my head.
Yeah, S tier. He was a joke from beginning to end, and the fact that he survived, give it to him.
All
So
right,
you heard it here first. Hitler S tier.
all right, your last one here.
Yamagi Limited. Uh, the twink that got
Twink
killed,
that good.
sitting in someone's lap. I mean, he's adorable, but up until that scene, don't know a damn thing about him.
Same.
I'll put him in C tier for being cute.
Like many characters, he has that stoic kind of face, but his like is more adorably grumpy than others. That's it. He still goes down
To
D tier.
oh, you drag him another second time. You drag me down.
Yeah,
I've dragged 100 of yours down. You got me twice.
there we go. So last one here on the list, Zach Lowe, the main talker for the side group of underlings who don't have power. The one who wants to leave at the very end because it all seems like a terrible idea, and he's right. But then he can't leave, so now he has to stick it out. Uh he actually has some personality in there. Like I mentioned before, he and his friends basically serve as kind of a muse or perspective to figure out what's going on with other characters. Um I would put him at B tier. He's a bit above and beyond what his role here actually needs to be. And he was kind of fun to see.
I was thinking C tier, but I'll go ahead and agree with you and put him at B tier. Um, the thing you didn't mention
Yeah.
during your favorite arc, the AI arc,
Mhm.
he is the one that knew about the Elia Vignana system and why it was made and how it worked and how it was affecting Mikazuki.
Yeah, why did he know all that? I
He
guess he studied.
went to
Whatever.
school or something. Yeah, he explained it. But yeah, no, he was our exposition on that front for that arc.
Okay. That's good. All right. So we have all of our characters lined up here, and it actually has turned out relatively even. There's a lot of disposable characters involved, but somebody had to die in this series, right?
Yeah, according to everything we heard before we started watching, yes.
So, what kind of final words do you have for all of this here, do you think?
Well, it's been a hell of a year. Because by the time this goes out, it will have been a year since we started watching.
We've gone all the way through 50 episodes together, one episode a week, and here we are at the very end. And if I had to look back on this series, what would be my takeaway here?
That you thought it was shit at the end. You already said that.
Well, I mean, final words here would be
Please don't
don't
kill
have
me.
orphans fight in your wars. Very bad idea.
Oh, maybe you should take that message to South Africa.
What about you, Theta?
I liked being right at the very end. I think you'll find that being right at the end is the moment to be right the most.
There you go. At least you got a positive experience out of it at the very end. No one can say you were unhappy by the time the series ended.
Most of the characters I didn't like were dead. The characters I embraced survived.
Mhm.
And the moral message of the show made me right.
The
You
moral
know,
message of the show: support the status quo.
no, well, you know what?
Yeah.
What organization in the show never used child soldiers?
Was it Horn?
Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow.
In fact, we put those kids to school.
There you go. All right, then. So I guess it's time for us to go ahead and wrap up and sign off. This has been Stone Face Reactions, everyone. We've gone ahead and watched Iron Blooded Orphans, and this is going to be it until our next Gundam series, which, what's the next one we got coming up for this slot?
I think it's called 00. I'm pretty sure you don't say 00. I have no
Mhm.
idea. I'll have thoughts when we
Yeah.
talk about it.
Mhm. That's good. So come join us for that, and until next time, I'm Griffin, and that's Theta, and we'll see you then. See you, everybody.